last week, we had Rey Mysterio guest starred on the podcast to play himself, which was very nice of him. We thank Rey very much for being on. And he revealed that he was actually some sort of werewolf from Mexico, but he was a wild monster beat, and he got a job because the Boogeyman... Obviously, Boogeyman worked in WWE before Rey worked in wrestling in America, like WCW. That's obviously how that timeline works. And Hacksaw Jim Duggan is a ghost, and Boogeyman found a cloth, and he knew it was the odor of a chemical found in one place, so he has to go find the place where that chemical is from, which we will see in Chapter 4, entitled The Brothers in Harms.
Wow.
So, of course, Joe Negron playing the role of Leonard T. Boogiemon, and Mr. Mutant Larry playing the role of everyone else. So here we go.
T stands for the.
Don't give it away, Joe.
Oh, sorry.
Spoilers. So you both have it pulled up?
Boogeyman is ready.
Everyone else is ready.
Fantastic. Here we go. Chapter 4.
No,
Boogeyman feet slowed.
Wait. Before you start, Dishban, the last sentence here, there's no way that is a typo. Is it? Yeah, it is. Okay, never mind. Go ahead. Go ahead. You'll get there.
Okay.
Oh, God. Okay.
Wait, I'm missing it. Last sentence of the whole thing?
No, the first paragraph.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Go ahead. Read away.
Boogeyman feet slowed as he found himself approaching closer and closer to the large Victorian T.O. mansion, the Sat Way, on the U side of WWE Town. This was the house that the kids in WWE Town wolves go to at Halloween, and not trick-or-treat at, but instead used to scather themselves into the spirit of the season. In the kids' minds, Boogeyman was sure the house contained a witch, a mummy, or a monster. What Boogeyman knew the house contained was a great scientific mind, near even Booby-Man's scientific brilliance. Ladies and gentlemen, Booby-Man. And 2 half brothers, 1 half a man in broken spirit, 1 many men in body. Boogeyman went to knock upon the door, but saw that it was not closed, yet stood slightly ajar.
This isn't good!
Thought Boogeyman.
Paul would never leave the front door unlocked. Paul's even increasing paranoia made him hard to deal with, though what Boogeyman...
You should be saying this, Joe.
Oh, this isn't even... Oh, I thought these were my lines because there was quotes there.
There's no quotes.
I know, it starts with a quote. Boogeyman's talking about himself. Though what Boogeyman knew of Paul Bearer's dark secret made Boogeyman show him pity and friendship. Boogeyman brushed through the door like he had slipped through so many wrestling holds on his way to the WWE Championship. Oh, God, that's the worst thing we've read so far. His huge body hid the ability of a yoga master of bend and twist. He didn't even touch the door as he slipped inside. He thought,
I might have to dust it. Number 4 fingerprints later.
He thought. But by the way, that's he thought, and then there's a line, and then it says he thought again. So that's pretty great. He was truly worried. Paul would never leave the door unlocked, and Boogie thought to himself,
I don't know why everybody could hear my thoughts. He would never leave his home like this.
The doom was a wreck. Things lay everywhere, and even Paul's collection of antique surgical tools were shooing around the living room, and most disconcerting of all, the large grandfather clock that hissed the stairs to Paul's secret in the basement laboratory was concocted to the CD.
Oh no!
Boogeyman said aloud, but to only the cobwebs that hung silently in answer.
This could be Hey! Problem.
Boogeyman ran down the stains to the basement lab, lit only by the glow of machines and lights from those arc machines that appear on old horror movies, but no one know their real science, mystackle use. He stopped in the middle of the room, realizing too late. Two things. One, he was a fool to let his emotion get the best of him and having him run into a room in which there could be someone laying in wait. And two, someone was laying in wait. That was his thought. Before Boogeyman could turn, he felt the thud of what could only be a brass urn, of course, come down on the back of his head. And as he twisted around a pirouette of unconsciousness, he caught a glimpse of his assailant, his friend. As he hit the floor, he looked up to see the wild-eyed, nude form of the Undertaker standing over him, face full of rage, drool, and dagger.
Naked Undertaker.
Face full of drool. Delicious. Boogeyman woke with a headache like pile driver from the Big Show. Yep, that made sense. As his vision cleared, he found himself tied to a chair, still in Paul's basement, and with the huge nude form of the Undertaker in front of him.
What?
Still, the wild look still in his eyes. As the Undertaker turned away from him to return to whatever insane thing he was doing on the bench behind him, Boogeyman eyes fell upon the thousands of stick marks and scars over the entirety of the Undertaker's body. Perhaps he could still reason with him.
Taker! It me! The Boogeyman!
He spoke calmly, slowly, the way he had been trained in his years of psychology school. How much has he done?
I don't know. Is this still me?
Yeah.
Remember, I'm a friend of your faithers. We help you, remember?
He could tell it was doing no good. Even with his back turned, he could tell that the Undertaker's eye were still full of rage. Boogeyman thought to himself,
Think of something that can get me out of this madhouse and back to my lovely Kelly Kelly. Why is lovely capitalized?
Lovely wife Kelly Kelly! Boogeyman thought of how it all began with the Undertaker. How Paul, an amazing scientist, even in the Boogeyman's expert scientific experience. Paul had a child from his first marriage to a woman named Shelley Taker, little Brian Taker. Yep. The boy was the apple of the Pual's P-U-A-L-S eyes. Oh, Paul's. Even though he was a small, scrawy boy, but he was smart as a whip. When Paul's first wife died, Paul later remarried and had another son. But too long in the birth canal left Cain, huge, bald, and slow.
Oh.
No matter to Brian, as he and Can became inseparable. And when Paul's second wife died, Cain became even closer Brian. The one day when Brian was 18 and Cain was 16, Cain begged Brian to allow him to drive, as Cain was learning to drive. No one is certain what happened next, but what is certain is the crash was horrible. Cain was left scarred but alive. It's Cain, C-A-I-N, by the way. But Brian was damaged, and the life slowly was left him. When Paul was... This is a very heavy me episode. When Paul was first on the scene, he was horrified. His scientific training took over, though, and he realized my son's body is betraying him. But his head, perhaps using the many tools he had in his truck, Paul did the unthinkable. But the only thing he could imagine to do. He could imagine it, but not think it. That makes sense.
What? Oh, this is... Wow, I don't even know what to say about this.
Oh, God. This is Futurama. He removed his own son's head and keeping it bare, like the animal, alive, barely alive, in a solution of blood with an artificial heart he had in the trunk, too. He brought it back to his basement lab. The rest is like a bad move. Watched. Paul came to his old friend Boogeyman, Juan Siad.
Wait, this is me. Oh, I found one.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm Paul Bearer?
Yeah, apparently.
My friend, you're the only man I know with a knowledge of the human science larger than mine, and your relationship to the supernatural is something that I must have to save the life of my Sony. I plead with you, my boogeyman, my friend. Please help me.
Sorry, what was Martha Hart in this story?
Wouldn't he have two voices?
Yes, that's two more than I have.
I like
By the way,
this one
relationship
too.
to the supernatural. Lovely.
Yes.
Boogeyman could not refuse with both very awesome scientific knowledge. They came up with a solution that could not just revive Brian Taker's head, but also his body. However, there was no body. They were at a loss. Auntie Kane, in his slow and guilt-filled mind, committed the unthinkable. He raided the WWE Town graveyard, stealing the parts of many dead wrestlers, which were in the best shape. Wahoo McDaniel's arm, Ray Stevens' torso, Pez Whatley's legs, and more. This is amazing. Horrified Paul and Boogeyman didn't know what to do, but in order to save a man's life, they must use the gifts of those dead giants. Boogeyman's expert sewing skill formed a huge man body like an expert seamstress, would form a huge coat, and with Brian's head attached, they infused it with the formula, and Brian Taker lived again. But Paul and his son's lives would never be the same. Paul, nearly broken from the stress, became a recluse who never left the old house. Kane, still racked by guilt, and his unformed mind, Clid-like in its think processes, was constantly getting into trouble. And Brian became something amazingly horrifying. His new body worked well, almost too well. He had the power of all the wrestling great, who made up the horrible, stiked-together body. He was an unbelievable wrestler who felt no pain, but he had to have injections of the formula every 37 hours, of course, or he would become wild, mad, and unstable like the beast Boogeyman saw before him now.
Remember, Undertaker, remember!
Boogeyman cried from his chair prison, but he knew it was no good. Undertaker was well past his 35 hours. So that wouldn't want to check the last line if your story to be right. And he could not be reasoned with. As the horrible stoic visage turned to face... Okay, come on. The Boogeyman, Boogeyman.
It's the Boogeyman.
The Boogeyman, as the horrible stoic visage turned to face the Boogeyman, the Boogeyman. He spells it right the next word. Saw what the Undertaker had been handling, a gint knife. It glistened in the dark as the Undertaker stepped towards the Boogeyman, and the Boogeyman thought,
"Is this the end? Oh, is this the end of this story, or just the end of me?"
To be continued in Chapter 5, which is, of course, entitled Battle to the Death.
Wow.
With this, so is this the end or the end of me? Why would he think the end of the world is here because he's about to be cut up?
I don't know.
Boogeyman.
The T.
I mean, I prefer Booby Man.
I prefer Boofy Man.
This is. I don't have anything else to say.
I don't even know what the.
I don't know.
Listener of the week.
What? What is that? Why is that listener of the week?
So Undertaker's real last name is Taker.
Yeah, his wife was Shelley Taker.
But it wouldn't be because Paul Bearer was his dad.
Yeah,
no. He was the father for Brian Taker. Come on, I think was Brian Taker Undertaker. I'm confused.
Brian Taker's the one. But he wouldn't be Brian Taker because Paul Bearer, he'd be Brian Bearer, wouldn't he?
I thought Undertaker was Mark Taker.
No, that was Dave Callis.
Which one's Boofky Man?
You mean Booby Man?
Oh. I mean, Boogiemond.